Well, let's just say happy birthday, Ben. Hi guys, how are we tonight? We all good?
All good.
Good to be here, isn't it? Like, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to just be anywhere. I come from a little town down south. It's a really shit place. You all might know it as Frankston. Woo! Woo! Yeah, thank you. It's actually, I'm not just from Frankston. I'm from the roughest part of Frankston. It's called the Pines. Yeah. We're neighbours. Yeah. It's one of those areas that is known as the Frankston of Frankston. Not even Frankston people go there to visit. Yeah, it's a rough area. It's one of those rough areas that you have 4 cars in the front yard and none of them work. I also have a few uncles in my front yard. None of them fucking worked either. I'm a success story that made it out of Frankston. I made it out of the Pines, really. I made it out because I'm still alive. Yeah. It's you know, when you have like, the main form of public transport is either you steal a bike from the front yard of someone's house, or you make it home in the back of a divvy van. That's where I came from. But you know what? We had good and bad living in Frankston, and the bad was your shit always got stolen. But the good was you could always buy it back from your neighbour's garage sale. Yeah. I come from a long line of unemployed alcoholics. But you'll all be pleased to know that I broke the pattern, because I now have a job. Thank you. Yeah, you're a fucking polite audience, aren't you? I find it really hard that I have a job. I know I have a really important job too. It's one of those jobs that you have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, there's no punchline to that. It's like fucking shit waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Nah, I find it really hard to think that I have a job now, because I'm not an educated person at all, given that I came from the Pines. I went to 7 different primary schools growing up. Mum, she found it really hard to find a really good school, but she was never satisfied. But eventually, she found a good one. It was close enough to a bottle shop. She'd drive us to school, and then swing past the bottle shop on the way home. No, I'm only joking, because none of the fucking cars work. Yeah. I wasn't raised in a traditional family. We have a little bit of husband swapping that went on in our family. We have a few neff sons running around now. Father's Day gets a little bit awkward. But I like catching up with my cousins on Christmas Day. We like to play a little game of guess who. Your dad is. What's your name? I've fucking lost the plot. What's your name? Sorry. Karen. Thank you, Karen. Are you happy to be here tonight, Karen? Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks for coming along here and listening to. My name is Kim. Hi. Cousin Kim. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, like, now that you say Cousin Kim, because, like, I like to think that, well, I find it really funny that inbreds are alcoholics. Like, have you not noticed that? Because, I mean, it would be really hard to bang your cousin while you're sober. My nan, she was a good lady, but she had 13 kids, ironically to the same dad. Thank you. I know, thanks. Yeah. Like, it was considered quite normal back in those days to have so many kids to the same father. But you know what's considered normal these days? A fucking morning after pill. Yeah. My mum, she, like I said, she was one of 13 inbred siblings. And those 13 went on to have about 75 kids between them. And that breeding process started about 50 years ago. And it turns out that I'm now related to everyone in Frankston. And I found it really hard to pick up back in those days. Well, I found it really hard to pick up back in those days because, you know, when you're at a nightclub and you know, like you're in the moves and you see someone and you want to pick them up. And the normal conversation that you would have with someone is, what do you do for a living? But my question was, what side of the family are you from? Yeah. Like, I was really scared that I might wake up next to a cousin. But thank fuck for social media now. Because when you're on a dating site, like I was on Tinder the other day, and I was able to cross-check the DNA matches with Ancestry.com. I was really close to my family. Yeah, my nan, she lived next door to us, and my auntie lived across the road, and my uncles lived down the street for a little while until they went to prison. And then when our family gatherings were organised, it was always organised around prison hours. Like, if you were to look at my family tree, it kind of looks a lot like a marijuana plant. Yeah. Like, I love my family, and we don't have a lot of family heirlooms in our family. You know, like, I'm not going to be inheriting too much in my family, which is okay. Like, I'm alright with that because I'm doing good with my job now. But you know, the only thing that I have that my family, or well, particularly my father, has left me is a little bit of jewellery. It was his ankle bracelet. But you know what? Like, I have to say, my parents were good parents, but I was a naughty kid. Like, I was a really fucking naughty kid growing up in the Pines. I once committed armed robbery. And, like, to my fairness, I was only 5. I was only 5, and I committed armed robbery because I was listening to Mum and Dad one day. They were talking about, okay, so Dad said, I don't have a lot of money because you keep drinking it all, Marion. And she said, yeah, well, you know what, Robert? That's not my fault because you're a fucking asshole. And so I decided to get a kitchen knife and go across to the neighbour's house. And I said to the neighbour, I was like, give me all your money. And she looked at me, and all the days my dad was in the front yard fixing one of those fucking cars that didn't work. And she yelled out across the road, she's like, "Robert, your daughter's got a knife." So he came across and grabbed me and then dragged me back home. And he said to me, he goes, "Never, ever commit a robbery with a fucking knife." And I looked at my dad that day and I went, "That's really fucking shit advice, isn't it, Robert?" So I've never really committed a robbery since that day with a knife. Only ever used a gun. Crowd's gone silent. It's pretty shit advice, isn't it, really? Like my mum on my 17th birthday, she came up to me and I think at that stage she was probably on her 4th litre of wine. And she came up to me and she goes, "Son?" "Don't do drugs." It's like fucking good advice, Marion. And then after that, like I remember back in the earlier days, you know, the shit parenting days. Have you ever had like shit parenting advice, Ian? Yeah. Like parents give you shit advice, don't they? Yeah. Like my mum, she came up to me and she goes, "I once overdosed on burnt chips." I said, "How did you overdose on burnt chips, Mum?" She goes, "Well, I went out to a party and I just overdosed on burnt chips." And I looked at her that day. Actually, the next day I went to school and I said to my friend at school, I was like, "Oh my God, my mum, she overdosed on burnt chips." And my friend looked at me and she goes, "Oh my God, my fucking mum overdosed on burnt chips too." Yeah. Anyway, so I've never been able to eat burnt chips since that day, but I've done a fuckload of drugs. Shit parents, aren't they? Fucking shit parents. Have we got any parents in the audience? I think we've covered that. Is there any parents? Yep. One. Oh, you guys are parents? No, he is, I'm not. He is, you're not. Sucks to be you. I'm not. Here you are. How shit is parenting? Yeah, it fucking sucks. I got 2 kids. They're both here tonight. It's alright, they know that. Yeah, no, like parenting's fucking hard. Like I've got a 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. Cheers, everyone. Yeah. I like to think that they're pretty responsible though, because, you know, like they do alright, mainly because I'm never home. Yeah. I said to my daughter the other day, I was like, "Hey mate, you need to stop eating so much junk food because you're going to get fat. And I'm not going to fit in your clothes." And then we had the sex talk. You know that talk? It's a fucking awkward talk, isn't it? And she said to me, she goes, "Mum, would it be alright if you could keep it down at night?" Fucking awkward talk, I have to say. But, you know, like, she said, "I'm going to go out to a party. Is that alright with you, Mum?" I said, "Yeah, mate, of course it's fine. But can you just do me a favour? Can you just make sure that you're home just like at a reasonable hour?" And thank fuck she listened to me that night. because at 5 o'clock when I got home in the morning, she was there to hold my hair back when I spewed. She goes to me, she says, "Mum, what's wrong with you?" And I went, "I just ate some fucking burnt chips." I had a traditional Frankston marriage, and I'm on my first successful divorce. Thank you. I know, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, the only good thing that I got out of that marriage was my surname, Da Cruz. Yeah. I fought really hard for it in the divorce settlement. And we both agreed that he could keep his superannuation. But we're still in negotiations about the children, because it turns out that neither of us want custody of them. I haven't told my kids that yet. I love you both. They're both here tonight, actually. No, they're fine. They know that I'm a dickhead. Yeah. Some people say that getting a divorce can be quite painful. It's a little bit like taking it up the arse. I didn't fucking mind it. Probably would have been a bit more painful for him. Sure, he would have enjoyed it if he had a relaxed. Anyway, it turns out that I'm not much of an ordinary woman, doesn't it? No, like, I'm not an ordinary woman, and I say that because, you know, like most ordinary women, they like to like cook and knit, but I like to get eaten out. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys at that. It's been fantastic being here tonight. Thanks everyone for coming along. I love the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and thanks so much, Maury, for having me tonight. Cheers, guys. Kim Da Cruz!